Buying a home in Sonoma County can be an extremely daunting task, especially if you are new to the area and especially if it is your very first time purchasing a home. In this week's video, I'm going to be walking you through step by step what happens when you purchase a home. What's up, guys? My name is Danny M. Cronin. I'm a real estate agent right here in Sonoma County. If this is your very first time to my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I drop a video once a week, every single week, all having to do with living in Sonoma County. So if that interests you, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button. And of course, I am a full-time real estate agent. So if you have any questions about buying, selling, investing now or in the future, all of my contact information is down below. Call me, text me, email me, whatever is most convenient for you. With all that being said, let's get right into this week's video. So in this video, not only do I want to walk you through what it looks like when you are purchasing a home in Sonoma County, but I also want to go through a couple things that I do, the questions I ask, and my systems that I have in place to ensure we get you the right home. Step number one, usually how it happens is I'll have someone that reaches out to me, hey Danny, I'm thinking about buying a house. What are we doing? What's the next step? The very first thing I like to do, especially if these clients are coming from a different area, is I set up a Zoom call with us. During that Zoom call meeting, we're going to be going over a few different things, but the number one thing we're doing is we're just trying to see if it's going to be a right match, right? You want to work with an agent that you feel comfortable with and someone that's going to be able to be by your side throughout the entire transaction. From there, we're going to go over a couple wants and needs that you are looking for specifically, areas, and then what does the house look like? How big is it? What kind of home is it? And all of these sort of things so we can narrow down your search just a little bit better. From there, on that very same Zoom call meeting, I'm going to set you up on an MLS search. Now, this is a drip campaign that you are going to start receiving as soon as homes pop up available in your criteria. So if you're interested in a 3-bed, 2-bath in Santa Rosa under this price point, you will be receiving that email as soon as that property hits the market. It's very important to remember during this stage that we go through, you're going to be receiving a lot of homes that you may not even like at all, and that's okay. That's what this whole thing is for. Again, this is a drip campaign. When you're set up on this home search, I will not be able to filter out certain things like, you know, I want an open floor plan, or the yard has to be this size, or there has to be an ADU on the property. All of those things are going to be sent to you if that property fits in your criteria. And again, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not gonna like the homes being sent to you, but that's okay. This is a drip campaign. And if I do see some properties hit the market that come up for sale that I know may interest you, I'm going to be sending you those properties personally. At the end of that initial call, we are going to set up next steps. The next steps I like to do, first and foremost, if you are not pre-approved with a local qualified lender, that is the very first thing I'm going to be asking of you to do. The main reason I do that is simply because if you are interested in purchasing a home, you don't have a pre-approval letter yet, but you do want to start going out and looking at homes, the whole reason for that pre-approval is so that we can act fast. If you do see a property you like, we can then jump on it, write an offer, cross our fingers it gets accepted, and move forward with the process. If you do not have that pre-approval letter, obviously we can't do such things. We can't write an offer without a pre-approval if you are in a position that you need financing. So once I set you up with my lender and you guys have the conversation, you guys get the pre-approval, we are then going to be setting up our second Zoom call. Again, this is if you're out of the area. If you're local, it's probably gonna happen in person. But the whole point of the second Zoom call and the most very important part of this whole process is I'm going to be laying out exactly what's going to happen throughout the entirety of the transaction. So you are now pre-approved and we're ready to go out and start looking at homes. The very first thing I always tell my buyers is it's very important to look at these homes through your own eyes, not the eyes of an appraiser, and certainly not the eyes of an inspector. What do I mean by that? Well, we have people that can go out and look at the home and determine if there are structural damage, determine if there's pest damage. What we do is we run a CMA before we write any offers just to make sure we're not overpaying for the property. It is your job to take a look at the home and make sure you like it. After all, this is going to be your home. So now we've looked at a couple properties, you've identified a few that you like, and it's very important for me, as soon as you see a home you like, to let me know immediately. My role in this entire process is to make sure I get you the right home you love for the right price. So once you've identified a property you like, my very first task I do is I reach out to the listing agent. The whole purpose of that call to the listing agent is simply just to see what their seller, their client, is looking for in an offer. Maybe they want a 30-day rent back. Maybe they are open to concessions. Maybe they're not. All of these sort of things I like to know up front. Therefore, when we go to write an offer, we are putting our best foot forward and we are not wasting any times with any counters if need be. A lot of times agents will just go out and write the offer right away. They'll rush to get it to the listing agent, and then the listing agent sends back a counter because the seller wants to keep the washer and dryer, or the hanging chandelier does not come with the house. So all of these things have to be countered out, meaning they're sending you back your offer and they're countering it, saying, hey, we want to keep this, we want to keep that, so on and so forth, whatever the cases are, and then they will send that offer to you. The reason why I do my due diligence before we go to write an offer is simply because time is of the essence. Let's say you write an offer on a property you absolutely love. They then counter us. During that time, we are not in any sort of agreement with that seller, meaning that seller can receive another offer even if they've already sent us a counter, and they can then accept that offer. It sucks, but it does happen from time to time. And again, that is why the very first thing I do is reach out to the listing agent. You've identified a property you love and it's time to write an offer. What does that even mean? Well, the very first thing that you need to understand when writing an offer is you need to be comfortable with what is inside of the offer. I always talk to my clients beforehand when we get ready to write an offer, and I want to ask them, what is most important to you about this property? What are you looking at? Are you hoping to do any inspections? What is an inspection? You can get inspections done on just about any property, whether you're looking for, if you're worried that the home has pest damage. If you want to do a complete home inspection and see everything about the house, you can go ahead and do that as well. Once we write an offer, the offer gets accepted, we are under a tight timeline. In the offer, usually escrow is just about 30 to 45 days, depending on the type of loan that you receive. Normally it's a 30-day escrow. So the day one that your offer does get accepted, the timeline does start. Usually a normal offer is structured. The first 17 days of that 30 days is your time to do inspections. Now this is your time to go out, do any inspections you want. I have all the contractors you need, all the different types of inspectors. Normal here in Sonoma County, a normal inspection is a pest inspection, a home inspection, or a roof inspection. You can do one of those, two of those, or all three of those. It's totally up to you. But just understand these are a cost to you. That is money that you will not be receiving back if you end up deciding to cancel escrow. And those inspections range anywhere from $5 all the way up to $800. Going back to your inspection period here, the first 17 days of your offer after your offer is being accepted, that's the time the contractor goes in, they take a look at the house, they do the report, they send it back to us, we review it and see if there's any huge items that are maybe causing too much of a concern. If during that time you see something on there that you do not like, it is open to renegotiation at that point. Let's say you get a roof inspection. The roof is almost towards the end of its life. There's some damaged shingles, whatever is going on up there, but it comes back that roof is gonna need a little bit of work. You can then go back to the seller and say, hey, I want to get credit for this. The inspector noted that it wasn't a very good roof. It's pretty much past its life, or it's nearing the end of its life, and I would like to get a credit back. From there, it's totally up to the seller as far as what they want to do. They can give you the whole credit back that you asked for. They can give you none of it, or they can just give you a little bit of it. At that point, it is renegotiation time, and that is when we will come to find out if we're going to be cruising through escrow past this stage. After all the inspections are done, you and the seller have come to terms, everything is on the up and up. It's now time for the property to be appraised. This falls under the first 21 days of escrow. Once the property is appraised, the appraiser calls us back and says, hey, good news, the home appraised at value, everything is good. If a property does not appraise at value, that means you do not qualify for that loan. That's essentially the bank saying, hey, you wrote an offer at $500,000. The bank is appraised that property at $450,000. So they will now only give you $450,000 to purchase this house. One of three things happen in this case. Usually we go back to the seller and say, hey, here's what happened. The home appraised for $450,000. Are you willing to adjust your price? Yes or no? Option number two, you come up with the remainder. So if the home appraised at $450,000, we are in contract at $500,000. That means you will need to come up with that additional $50,000 out of pocket to bridge the gap. Option three, we cancel escrow, we move on, and we go buy another house. One thing I didn't mention, the very first thing that you have to do after an offer is accepted is within the first 3 days after offer has been accepted, you have to deposit what's called an earnest money deposit with the title company. I will be giving you all of this info through email, so don't worry about memorizing any of this, but I wanted to make a video quickly in recapping kind of the process and what goes down. Usually your earnest money deposit is a percentage of your initial deposit. Usually it's up to 3% of the purchase price. If you're putting 20% down on a home, you owe 3% now, and the rest of the 17% at closing. So after you've done inspections, you've dropped off your earnest money, the home appraised, what is next? During all of that time, you're gonna be receiving a ton of documents to sign from myself, my transaction coordinator, the title company, and the lender. There's a lot of parties involved in a real estate transaction. And during that time, you're gonna be receiving what's called seller's disclosures. There's two separate disclosures here, sometimes more. And basically it's a seller saying, here's everything that I know about the house, what's good, what's bad, and everything in between. You're gonna be reviewing those items, signing off on them. If you like what you're seeing and everything goes good, then we just carry on through escrow. So we've made it this far. We're about 3 days out from closing now until you get the keys to your home. What do we do now? We do what's called a final walkthrough. The whole purpose of this practice is simply to go ahead, walk through the house again and make sure it's in the very same condition as it was when you first wrote your offer. If you negotiated any sort of updates or repairs with the seller, now's the time to check and make sure all of those repairs are completed. You want to make sure the home is vacant, there's no one still living in it at this point, or maybe the sellers are almost on their way out. And little things, right? You want to make sure there's obviously no new holes in the walls, or there's a missing light, or these sort of things. The home sale is not necessarily contingent on this final walkthrough. This is simply for us and the buyer to do their due diligence to make sure the home is in good shape. It's closing day. The home is set to record today. What does that mean? Well, the title company is going to be reaching out to you to come on down in person in the title company to sign what's called the final closing documents. Here, you're basically going to be seeing a whole lot of paperwork. You've probably seen most of it already throughout the escrow process. Once you sign off on all of these sort of things, now everyone's job is done and we just wait for the title company to record the property. After that property has been recorded, I give you the keys and you move on into your brand new home. And that is basically my process and how to buy a home here in Sonoma County. If this video was helpful to you, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Again, I drop a video once a week, every single week, all having to do with living in Sonoma County. If you have any questions for me personally, I love when you guys hit me up with some questions. All my contact information is down below. Call me, text me, email me, whatever is most convenient for you. My name is Danny M. Cronin. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.